nation just ripped up the rulebook of global power in a single night. Ivory Coast's military has done exactly that, staging a daring coup that echoes the fearless spirit of Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré, sending shockwaves across the continent and beyond. In the move that's left the world stunned, Ivory Coast's armed forces have reportedly overthrown a government long seen as a Western puppet, drawing straight from the playbook of Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. This isn't just a change in leadership, it's a blazing declaration that Africa is done bowing to foreign powers. From cocoa fields to global headlines, Ivory Coast is rewriting its story. Let's dive in and uncover how this happened, why it matters, and what it means for Africa's future. Ivory Coast, the world's largest cocoa producer, has been a jewel in West Africa's crown, but its shine has often been dulled by foreign influence. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, the nation has wrestled with the shadow of its former colonizer. The CFA franc, a currency tied to the euro and controlled by Paris, has kept Ivory Coast's economy on a leash, while French military bases have lingered like uninvited guests. Alassane Quatarra, the ousted president, ruled for over a decade, presiding over a nation where 30% of people live on less than $2 a day, despite cocoa exports generating $5 billion annually. Most of that wealth flows to European corporations, leaving Ivorian farmers scraping by. Meanwhile, youth unemployment hovers at 25%, fueling frustration among a generation tired of empty promises. Across the border, Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traoré, who seized power in 2022 at just 34, has become a beacon of defiance. His bold moves, kicking out French troops, nationalizing gold mines, and forging ties with Russia and China, have inspired young officers across the Sahel. Whispers of unrest in Ivory Coast grew louder in early 2025, with reports of military discontent and secret meetings with Burkinabe advisors. Could this coup, rumored to have struck on May 20th, 2025, be the spark that sets West Africa ablaze with a new vision of sovereignty? Picture this. In the pre-dawn hours of May 20th, 2025, Ivorian soldiers, led by a cadre of young officers, stormed the presidential palace in Abidjan, their boots echoing through marble halls. By sunrise, Ouattara was out, and a televised broadcast declared, "The era of foreign domination is over." The coup leaders, some reportedly trained in Burkina Faso's military academies, didn't mince words. They called out Ivory Coast's $18 billion debt to Western institutions, where 40% of export earnings vanish into debt servicing, leaving hospitals underfunded and schools crumbling. Why should a nation that feeds the world's chocolate cravings beg for scraps? Drawing inspiration from Traoré, the plotters vowed to nationalize the cocoa industry, which pumps $5 billion into global markets, but sees less than 10% of that stay in Ivorian hands. They pointed to European giants like Nestlé and Mars, accused of dictating prices, while local farmers earn $200 a year. The officers also demanded the immediate closure of French military bases, branding them relics of colonial control. Leaked communications, allegedly uncovered by Burkinabe intelligence, suggest these leaders were mentored by Traoré's inner circle, sharing tactics to neutralize Western backlash. In a nod to Burkina Faso's strategy, they've already begun talks with Russian advisors to secure military support and Chinese investors to fund infrastructure. But this isn't just about swapping one foreign partner for another. It's about Ivory Coast calling the shots. The coup leaders have rallied young Ivorians, with thousands taking to the streets chanting, "Our cocoa, our future." This is Traoré's influence in action. A blueprint for African nations to seize their destiny with both hands. Yet the question lingers, can they hold the line against the inevitable pushback? This coup isn't just Ivory Coast's story, it's a chapter in a larger African saga. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have already formed the Alliance of Sahel States, a bold anti-imperialist bloc that's ditched ECOWAS and its Western-backed framework for alliances with Russia, China and even Turkey. Ivory Coast, with its economic clout as a cocoa and coffee giant, could tip the scales, creating a powerhouse coalition that controls key resources. Imagine a West Africa where nations dictate the terms for their gold, oil and cocoa, free from the grip of Paris or Washington. The ripple effects could reach beyond the Sahel, inspiring movements in Ghana, Senegal or even Nigeria. But the stakes are sky high. Western powers, stung by Burkina Faso's defiance, are already threatening sanctions, with the EU hinting at freezing Ivory Coast's $3 billion trade surplus. France, which relies on Ivorian cocoa for its confectionery industry, could back a counter-coup, as it allegedly attempted in Burkina Faso in April 2025. Economic disruptions loom. Cocoa prices spiked 15% on global markets within hours of the coup news. Yet the mood in Abidjan is electric. Young Ivorians, inspired by Traoré's fiery speeches, see this as their moment to reclaim a future stolen by decades of exploitation. Social media is buzzing with hashtags like Ivorian Awakening and Traoré Effect, signaling a cultural shift toward African pride and self-reliance. Is this the dawn of a new African century or a high-stakes gamble that could plunge the nation into chaos? If this story of African defiance sets your soul on fire, smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more content celebrating black culture and the unstoppable rise of our people. Ivory Coast's military coup, lit by the spark of Ibrahim Traoré's revolution, is more than a headline. It's a battle cry for African sovereignty. From the cocoa fields of Divo to the streets of Abidjan, a generation is rising, ready to shatter the chains of foreign control and build a future on their own terms. Will Ivory Coast's bold move inspire a continent-wide awakening? Or will the West's retaliation dim this flame? What do you think? Can Africa's youth carry this momentum forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and share this story of black pride and power with everyone you know. Let's keep the conversation alive and the revolution growing. Stay tuned for more on Africa's unstoppable rise.
I don't know how this is true, but it is being rumored that there is a coup in Ivory Coast. And at the moment, we actually do not know anything. We are just hearing there is a lot of information coming out that there was an internal coup in Ivory Coast and there is no internet. The internet has been switched off and it is alleged that it was an internal coup by the military who are now taking over the government. So we actually do not know how true this information is, but we are hoping that it is a true information that now Alassane Quatarra, a person who has been a threat to Ibrahim Traoré, is being ousted out of Ivory Coast and the African nations are now rising. So at the moment we actually do not have a lot of information. I've heard this from South Africans, I've heard this from the people from Senegal, I've heard from so many people who are now posting and coming out. But now the problem is Ivory Coast doesn't have internet as we are talking now, but as the news come in, I'll keep you updated. But we are hoping that